You've poured everything into helping someone else heal. And somehow your own life keeps getting smaller. Your money, your energy, your future, all of it collapses while you're still holding everybody else up. But here's what nobody tells you. You can't heal while you're still trying to save them all. Not because you're selfish and not because you don't care enough. Oh God, no. But because trying to save someone else locks you into a specific energetic frequency that makes your own healing impossible. Think of it like this. You know how a radio picks up different stations depending on which frequency you tune into. Your emotions work the same way. Every emotional state you experience, whether it's guilt, fear, worry, peace, joy, it broadcasts a very specific vibration. And here's where it gets interesting. Those frequencies don't just affect how you feel, they affect what you attract, who shows up in your life, how you show up, what opportunities or patterns keep repeating. And when you're trapped in guilt about someone else's suffering, or when you're paralyzed by fear of what might happen to them, when worry becomes your daily companion, you're tuned into a very specific station, panic station. And that station doesn't broadcast healing, it doesn't broadcast abundance, it broadcasts more guilt, more fear, more situations that require you to sacrifice yourself. You're not receiving anything new because you're stuck on the same frequency, playing the same song on repeat. So by the end of this video, you'll understand exactly how guilt, fear, and worry trap you at the vibrational level that blocks both your healing and your abundance. And you'll know which specific Bach Flower Remedies shift those patterns so you can finally stop sacrificing yourself without feeling like you're abandoning anyone. And I know this because I've lived it. Hi, I'm Michelle. I'm a healer helping people heal their difficult emotions and emotional patterns so they can finally start living better lives. And if that interests you, please join my free class for your very first step towards a better life. I watched my own life collapse while my family kept asking for more until the moment I started drinking and realized I was fighting a battle I could never win. What shifted everything wasn't at all what I expected. So I want you to picture two people living the exact same life on paper. Same job, same income, same responsibilities, but one of them operates from guilt and fear and the other one operates from trust and freedom. These two people will make completely different decisions. They will feel vastly different, and within 6 months, their lives won't look anything alike anymore. That is not psychology, that is physics. Because when you're trying to save someone, you're not just tired from the effort. You're locked into a very low vibrational state that becomes your reality. Let's say you're helping someone because you're terrified of what happens if you don't. That's fear. Fear sits at 100 on the consciousness map of frequency. Or maybe you feel guilty because your life is going very well and theirs isn't. So you keep giving to balance it out. That's guilt. And guilt sits at only 30. And here's what most people miss. Your inner vibration and the outer world resonate. They match. If you're living from fear at 100 and guilt at 30, you're not only feeling terrible, you're operating from that state. Every decision you make is filtered through it. The person living from guilt and fear asks, what can I do for this person to try to save them because I feel guilty and scared? The person living from trust and freedom says, I allow everybody to make their mistakes. I'm going to live from the power and beauty that I have. Same circumstances, completely different energy, completely different life. One is stuck in rescue mode, giving everything away, attracting people who take. And the other is building, creating, and attracting people who match their frequency. You don't choose your frequency with your thoughts, you choose it with where you put your energy. But knowing that doesn't make it easier to simply walk away, of course, because there's usually a moment where the cost becomes undeniable. I want you to think about the moment you started adopting the other person's problems, not just helping them, carrying them, living them. For me, it was the night I poured my first drink. My brother was an alcoholic, my father was too. My brother was also schizophrenic, in and out of institutions, and no matter what I did, he kept drinking. I tried everything. I begged, I reasoned, I got him help, I set up structures for him, I showed up over and over, and my life was collapsing. My family was still asking, can you do this and can you do that? And one night I just drank, and in that moment something clicked. I'm a grown adult, and if someone told me not to drink, I tell them to mind their own goddamn business. So why was I telling my 6 years older brother what to do with his life? He was a grown man. Now he was on medication, he was on care, and he was still drinking. Whatever I did or said, I couldn't fix this unless he wanted. And I realized I was fighting a fight that I could never win. And it was costing me everything. My future, my peace, my own health, my relationships, and nobody was helping me. I was drowning, trying to save someone who wasn't asking to be saved. And that shift, that single realization, changed everything. But knowing you need to stop and actually being able to stop are two very different things. So here's the truth nobody really wants to hear. You cannot think your way out of this. You can't meditate it away. You can't journal yourself through it or breathe it out. Because guilt, people-pleasing, worry, these aren't thoughts. They are frequencies. They are postures. They're energetic states running in the background of every decision you make. And if you want to shift them, you need to work at the vibrational level as well. And that is where the beautiful flower essences come in. These aren't supplements, they're not pharmaceuticals, and they work energetically to shift the emotional states that keep the pattern alive. And there are 5 specific remedies that address the rescuer dynamic at its root. So let's have a look. The first one I want to share with you is Centaury. This is the remedy for people-pleasing and the complete absence of boundaries. When you're in a Centaury state, you're literally broadcasting to the world, I am an overgiver, I am a people-pleaser, take what you can from me. And people do. You attract clients who aren't serious, you attract relationships where you give more than you receive, you discount your work, you overextend yourself. And then you wonder why you're exhausted while everyone around you just keeps asking for more. My God, I really was there. Centaury closes that energetic door and it helps you recognize where your energy ends and someone else's begins. Then there is Pine. So this remedy is for guilt. And if you're a sensitive person, maybe you're a healer as well, maybe you've spent years trying to fix things that weren't yours to fix, then guilt is probably running your life. You feel responsible when things go wrong. You feel like it's all your fault if someone else is struggling. You feel guilty for having what they don't. Pine shifts that. It helps you see that responsibility and guilt are really not the same thing. The third one is red chestnut. So this is for the excessive worry about others. It's the remedy for the person who can't sleep because they're so worried what someone else is going through. The person who sacrifices their own life because they're so focused on someone else's. Red chestnut doesn't make you stop caring. It helps you stop interfering with someone else's journey because you're too afraid of what happens if you let go. Rock water is the fourth. This one is for self-denial. The person who denies themselves rest, pleasure, ease because they're too busy being perfect, too busy being dutiful, too busy trying to prove they deserve to exist by how much they give. Rock water softens that rigidity. It helps you stop punishing yourself for being human. And the last one I want to share today is oak. This is the remedy for endless endurance. The person who just keeps fighting, keeps pushing, keeps trying to make it work when everyone else would have walked away years ago. Oak helps you recognize when endurance has turned into self-destruction. And if you want to learn how to work with your own flower essences matched to your situation, why don't you join my masterclass? It's free and it's live and it's awesome. It's called Move Past What's Been Keeping You Stuck. There is no recording, so don't forget to attend. Link in the description or in the pinned comment. Now here's what no one tells you about setting a boundary. You're not just saying no, You're literally changing the energetic frequency of the relationship. When you shift your energy, the other person has no choice but to respond. Think about it this way. If your energy is broadcasting, you can take as much as you want from me, then that is exactly what will show up. The right person comes along and takes as much as they want. It's not even malicious most of the time. You are an open door. Why wouldn't they walk through? It's like someone telling you, here's 10,000 euro, please take it from me. What would you do? Now, the moment you shift, the moment you say, well, for me, you can't take any more, you literally energetically block the person from taking more from you. You stop supplying them with whatever you were supplying them with. And here's where it gets very interesting. That person now has to change. They have to meet your new energy or they have to leave. And this isn't manipulation, this is energetic truth. When you were operating from guilt and fear, you made one set of decisions. When you operate from love for yourself and the other person, love for yourself and love for the other person, you make completely different decisions. You say things differently, you hold yourself differently, and the other person feels that shift immediately. And what's actually happening here is you're treating them like an equal for the first time. You're saying, you have the right to make your own choices and I have the right to protect my own energy. You're not their savior anymore. You're not their parent. You're just another human being with boundaries. And that puts them in position of responsibility. Maybe for the first time. But knowing this is only half the battle. The real question is, how do you actually make that shift in the moment when someone asks you for something and every cell in your body wants to automatically say yes? What do you do? So let me give you a practical tip. This is the moment most people trying to break this pattern completely miss. They focus on what they want to say no to, but they're analyzing the request and the way the situation, but they skip the one practice that actually changes everything. Pause. That's it. Before you answer any request, pause. Because if you're a people pleaser, you're almost automatically saying yes before you've even registered what was asked. Your survival mechanism kicks in. Your body goes straight into protect, the connection mode. And you give from fear, not from love. So when someone asks you something, anything, don't immediately respond. Give yourself space, even 10 seconds, 30 if you need to or more. And, oh, I'm eating my hair. You can literally say out loud, I need to think about that. I'll get back to you. And here's what happens in that pause. You become conscious of your energy. You feel in your body how that request actually lands. Does it feel open or does it feel like a clench? Does saying yes feels like love or does it feel like fear that they'll leave if you don't? That body level awareness is everything because consciousness and the energy are two sides of the same coin. So when you're conscious of where your energy is, you can direct where you want it to go. You can choose. And that choosing, that pause before the automatic yes, that's where your boundaries actually begin to form. Not in a big dramatic no, but in the quiet space before you answer. But pausing only protects you in the moment. There's obviously a deeper fear underneath all of this that we haven't touched on yet. Now, you're not abandoning anyone by choosing yourself. You're finally letting them meet their own life. You're becoming the person who holds space without holding all the weight. And here's what that actually means. When you stop trying to save someone, you're shifting your frequency. You're no longer broadcasting the signal, I need you to be okay so I can be okay. That signal, it keeps both of you locked because emotionally, energetically, you've tied your well-being to their choices. And they feel it, they sense it, and unconsciously they resist. The moment you step back and say, I trust you to meet your own life, something shifts. Not always immediately and not always obviously, but the energetic cord between you changes. You're no longer pulling, you're no longer pushing, you're just there present but separate. Think of it like tuning forks. When you're in that anxious trying to fix it state, you're vibrating at the frequency of fear, control, and responsibility that isn't yours. And the other person, well, they're either matching that frequency or running from it. But when you step back, when you choose yourself, your frequency changes. You start vibrating at trust, at peace. I'm okay even if you're not. And that's what actually gives the other person space to choose differently. Because boundaries aren't about rejecting someone. They're about coming home to yourself. And when you do that, you stop saying yes out of fear and start saying yes out of love. And here's how to tell the difference. A fear yes feels very tight. It feels like contraction, like your chest is closing, like you're holding your breath or bracing. A fear yes often comes with guilt or with what will they think or with I have to. Your body knows before your mind catches up. You might feel your stomach drop, your shoulders tense, your jaw clench. That's your nervous system saying this isn't safe. A love yes, it feels open, spacious, like you can breathe all the way down, like you're expanding instead of shrinking. A love yes might still be hard sometimes. It might still be scary, but it doesn't feel like betrayal to yourself. It feels like alignment and like truth. Like, yes, this is mine to do. That's the work. Noticing, pausing, and asking, is this fear or is this love? And then choose yourself anyway. Next, we're going into why sensitive people attract narcissists and the one energetic pattern that makes you visible to them. You can watch it in the video here somewhere, I think. Thank you so much for being here with me. I loved making this video, and I'll see you in the next one.